And we're back with another market update Wednesday. Finally, I can get back to these live updates. Sorry about the last 2 weeks. I was on vacation. Timing didn't work out the way I planned it to, so I had to skip a week. But here we are. We're back. Apparently, while I was gone on vacation, the entire Pokemon market crashed to zero. So I'm excited to jump back into TCG Player's best-selling list as I do every week. I'm excited to see where everything went while I was gone. See if there's any buying opportunities or see if I'm selling. Again, as I mentioned in my previous videos, I am selling more into this market than I am buying with prices up where they are, but I do think there are some opportunities still out there. So we'll take a look and see what opportunities there are. I appreciate you guys watching. Start here with the Mega Evolutions Enhanced Booster Box. It's good to see this one down. It was up to about $326, and now it's down market price of $275 with most recent sales $275, $285, $275. So right in there, and that feels pretty good. Again, I bought mine at around $250. Seems like that's the new market price of booster boxes going forward, is that $250 mark. So good to see Wave 2 bringing this down, but it's interesting to see that it did not bring it down to $250 where I thought it might, and it's staying here right around $275. So I'm definitely keeping my eye on this to see if it comes down a little bit more. I'm not buying any more here. I would maybe start looking at $250, and then if they got down to like $220, $210, I would start nibbling there, try to build a little more of my position. But I'm kind of happy with the boxes that I have if it never goes under $250, but I do anticipate this eventually going down to $250. What it might take to get this under $250 is we get 3 or 4 months into the future, into 2026, and there's a new Mega Evolution set that's even better than the base set. This base set kind of gets left behind in terms of art and all that stuff, and then Pokemon catches up on printing, and that could cause this box to come back down somewhere below $250 and into the $200 range. And kind of that's when I'd be looking to buy for investing purposes. But for now, I'm kind of good on the boxes that I have. I'm not looking to pick up any more, even though this is one of the better base sets we've ever had. And I do think it is a very good set, but just at $275, that's still a little bit too expensive for me. Same exact thing here with Phantasmal Flames. I actually think Mega Evolutions is a better set than Phantasmal Flames. This one's still pre-order pricing. It's showing at $318, $321 market price, with most recent sales right around that $320 mark. I'm not buying at $320. I think this set is a little bit worse than Mega Evolutions. As far as Mega Evolutions is a much deeper set, but I do think the Charizards in this set will command a really high chase, and we've seen what tough to hit chase cards can do in Evolving Skies and Fusion Strike, things like that. However, I think it'll be easier to hit the Charizards in this set because Phantasmal Flames is just a small set in general. So I do expect this box to be expensive, but I do think Mega Evolutions will probably be more expensive than this. So again, my purchase price on these would be around $250. And if it doesn't come down to $250 and I just miss out, I'm okay with that. I think I pre-ordered 1 box from Game Nerds at $250, maybe 2. So again, that $250 mark is where I'm pretty comfortable at because of the new standard that we've seen with booster boxes of the new sets going forward. Until we start seeing booster boxes come out that are under $250, I mean, that seems to be sort of the baseline price going forward. So again, I'm just living in the world we're playing in. I'm not excited about buying at $250. I'm not going all in. I actually haven't bought a case of any of the new sets because I still think it's too expensive, but I'll nibble here and there at $250 just so I don't completely miss the boat. Destined Rivals, same thing. This was up around $500 some dollars. $450 is the official market price, but there were definitely sales above that back in the end of September. But now we're down to $387 market price with the most recent sales of $399, $373, $393, and $350. So kind of all over the place, anywhere from $350 to $400. I do love this set. I think it's probably the best booster box set of the Scarlet and Violet era. So if you don't have any of this, I don't think you're crazy for buying it this $350 to $400 mark. Do I think it'll be cheaper in the future? Yes, I do. That's why I'm not buying anymore. But do I think in 5 years it'll be worth more than $350 to $400? Yeah, I do think it will be. So if you just want some and you don't mind holding on to dead money, or this thing's sitting stagnant for a while or going down with new reprint, you just don't want to miss out, I think that could be a decent time to pick it up. I picked mine up way back here when it was like $250, I think. Yeah, I picked mine up around $250 and I got 4 boxes. So I'm happy with the ones I do have, and then I'm just being patient on this for now. I do expect this to be printed pretty heavily, although we've seen with Pokemon through the holiday season, they might just be printing those collection boxes and tins with Destined Rivals booster packs in them, and that might be how they are combating people not having access to these packs. They might just be printing a ton of these collection boxes. If that's the case, these booster boxes might not be reprinted and they might stay high. So if you don't have any of these in your collection or in your investment portfolio, it might not be a bad time to pick these up. They have been going sideways for a little while after the initial huge run up. So again, I feel better buying it at $350 than I do at $550 or $450. So normally my mantra is always stay patient in Pokemon, but with a set this good, We've seen what it can do. This one might be one where you can't stay patient on it, but I don't want to induce FOMO for sure. I do expect this to come down to that. Prismatic Evolution Booster Bundle. I'll kind of talk about the Elite Trainer Box. I'll just talk about Prismatic Evolutions in general. I'll pull up both of them. The Prismatic Evolutions Booster Bundle is at $55, which is down a little bit from where it was. Most recent sales around 50 bucks. So honestly, I think that's a pretty good pickup if you can find this for $50 anywhere. And then the ETB is sitting sideways at $140. It's been pretty much $140 all month. And again, I think this is probably my number one pickup. I am still trying to buy one of these a week, at least one of these Elite Trainer boxes a week to try to build a small position in Prismatic Evolutions. And again, I'm not a big whale. I'm not buying huge cases or anything like that. So I'm just picking up ETBs here and there. Again, do I think it could go below 140? Yeah, absolutely. They could keep printing this for the next year and it could keep showing up. And as people get tired of getting burned by Prismatic, it could go down for sure if people aren't opening it. But in 5 years, do I think it'll be more than $140? Yes. So my time horizon's long enough on this. I think this is a good enough set and a good enough price point that I think this is a pretty safe investment. Now, the problem is you might be sitting on dead or stagnant money for a while. Again, in 6 months, you're only up 10%. And when you look at other things in the Pokemon space in the last 6 months, you'd be up way more than 10%. So you're going to have to be okay with holding some of this as dead money, dead product, but just knowing that in the future, it will most likely run. And when it does run, it'll probably run pretty quickly. So I'm happy to pick these up and sit on as many of these as I can. You see, it's already had a pretty good 3-month period. It was down around $100 in August, and I was run all the way up to 136, 140. So I'm still buying these where I can, especially on eBay or locally if people are picking them up. Again, I haven't seen any in stores because I just haven't seen any Pokemon product in stores. So I'm just resorting to buying them on the secondary market and just being patient, holding them long term. I've got a lot that I picked up at MSRP in the original wave. But even with those, I'm still happy to pick up more because I think Prismatic Evolutions is that good of a set. It's just going to take some time. So if you don't want to buy the Elite Trainer box, the booster bundle at 50 to 60 bucks is pretty good. Mega Charizard XEX Ultra Premium Collection. That is a mouthful. Try saying that 5 times fast. 300 bucks for this thing pre-ordering. I do hope that this is printed as much as they say it's being printed. The problem is I think the demand for this product is going to be so high. I think this box is going to be one of the best. The pack selections in this thing are amazing. The promo cards in this thing are amazing. I think this box will do very well over the holiday season. I want some of these, definitely not at $300. I'm being patient. I would look to buy some at around $200, and you can say, well, Parrish, that's obvious. You know, if it goes down 33%, down $100, and you can pick it up for $200, why wouldn't you? But this is pre-order pricing again, and I'm not in a huge rush to get these because I do think and hope they will be printed more. If anything, they'll probably be printed like the Prismatic SPC, and while I didn't ever see those in stores, that thing came down to $200 and was available at $200. I picked one up locally when I was picking up some Blooming Waters from a guy, and I think I paid $170 for it. So if you're patient on these, I think this one will come down. And as good of a box as it is, I do hope this is printed a lot and it comes down to that $150, $200 mark. I could see that happening, and that's where I would start looking to pick some up. I don't typically love UPCs for investing because they're so big and bulky, but this one I might have to make an exception for because the Charizard promo card's good, the Oricorio promo card is really good, and then the pack selection is just amazing in this. So this is definitely a box that I want long term. I pre-ordered one from Pokemon Center, was lucky to get that, but I'll open that with my family on Christmas. And then any for investment purposes, I'll be looking when this thing gets a little bit cheaper. Definitely not buying at $300. ETBs on the first page, there's Phantasmal Flames and Mega Evolutions. Phantasmal Flames pre-order price at $135. That's way too much. I'm not buying those. Mega Evolutions Elite Trainer boxes, however, at $86 and $82. That's a pretty good price on these, honestly. Mega Evolutions is a great set. You get a cool promo card. MSRP is going to be $60 anyway. So if you're looking for something for your kids for Christmas, especially if they're Mega Pokemon fans or Lucario or Gardevoir fans, these two Elite Trainer boxes could be pretty good if you can pick them up somewhere. I think places like Amazon still have them. I know buying Pokemon cards from Amazon is a little bit sketchy, but I've had pretty good luck. I've never had anything except the one time they sent me Spanish packs, but that was a Pokemon issue, not an Amazon issue. So in my opinion, I do think these will come down even more, but if you're just looking to secure one for Christmas, I don't think 80 is too bad of a price. I know it's still above MSRP, but only, quote unquote, only $20 above MSRP. So it's really not too bad. For investment purposes, however, I'm not buying any of these. I think $80 for an ETB is a little too expensive. Maybe it's just a price memory of literally like a year ago when ETBs were $25 and $30 for the newest sets. So I'm not personally buying these to hold on to. At $86, there's just better things I'd rather put my money into. Primarily Prismatic Evolutions. If I could get something like these Lucario and Tyranitar premium collection boxes for, you know, $110. I'd rather just pay up and get one of these boxes with a ton of prismatic packs in them. So in my opinion, that's where I'd be looking instead of these Elite Trainer boxes. Or if you want to go up to $100, this one Tangent 151 booster bundle at 95 bucks. If you don't have 151 exposure, that could be pretty good. 151 is just the GOAT set. I think it's such a good set, so much nostalgia in this. And there's so many 30-year-olds that grew up on Kanto that have a lot of money now. So I think 151 will continue to do well, very well long term. So if you don't have any, I could see picking some of these up. I personally have enough that I'm just content holding here. But if you don't have exposure to 151 and you think the ETBs have gotten out of your price range, I think 151 booster bundles could do very well. Now, some singles on the first page. This Bulbasaur Mega Evolution stamp, I think this one is very good. This is a market price of $25, which is way down. I thought this would do better than it is, honestly. It's a starter Pokemon. It's a box topper from a $300 booster box, and it's got a cool stamp on it. So in my opinion, I think these are pick up all day. I think the Ends Reshiram was somewhere around 20 to 25 bucks. And if an Ends Reshiram can sell for that much, I think a Bulbasaur could at least do that. So I might start picking up some more of these. I already have 2 that I just sent off for grading in my most recent submission. I think you saw that video on Monday. So personally, I do really like this card, and I think there's some opportunity in this one, especially, yeah, 25 bucks down, 45 bucks from the release. I think I was buying them at like 40 bucks. So I do think there's a lot of opportunity with these, especially with a Gen 1 starter. Yeah, that's almost screams no-brainer. You don't want to say no-brainer a lot, but this one screams buy to me, even at $25. The gold cards, however, at $541 and $542, that's definitely a pass for me. That's just way too expensive. I know these are super hard to pull. I know Lucario and Gardevoir are pretty popular Pokemon, but yeah, I'm not buying these. To me, they're so similar to the Crown Zenith ones. I know the pull rates are a lot harder, but in my opinion, the Crown Zenith artwork was a lot better than these, so I would take those over this, especially for the price. That's way too expensive for my blood. Fusion Strike booster box. This is the only Sword and Shield booster box on the front page, which is interesting, and this thing has stayed level at around $1,000, right at that psychological price point, with most recent sales around $973, $974. But I think on eBay it's selling for just over $1,000, so either way, right there on the cusp of $1,000. Not surprising to see it bouncing off this psychological price point of $1,000 when even 6 months ago it was $678. So this one's had a bit of a run, but again, I mentioned before, Chase cards really push this set forward, and that Chase Gengar really going to push this, especially in the Halloween season. So I'm not surprised to see this at $1,000. It'll be interesting to see if it bounces off $1,000 and comes back down, especially after Halloween is done, or if it breaks through 1,000 and goes up towards 11, 1,200. The final thing on this front page is Prismatic Evolutions booster packs, just loose packs. These are sitting at $8.90, and that's actually up a little bit. They were down to $7.85 here recently. So I do think these are pickup, specifically if you can get any of these boxes they're pushing out to Sam's Club and Costco's. These Lucario EX and Tyranitar EX premium collections. These things have a ton of packs in them. I think 14 packs. And for $120, that's right at that $8, $9 range. And if you're finding them locally, you can probably talk someone down to like 100, 110 bucks on this if you're paying cash. So you can get these packs pretty cheap. And I think that's a pretty good buy to just start stocking some of these away in a 5-row box, because eventually there will come a point where these are $10, $20 packs, just like 151, just like Crown Zenith. You know, it might not happen for a whole year or two because of how much they print this, especially if they're just printing a ton of collection boxes and things like that. That's why I prioritize ETBs, because it is a whole sealed product. But if you can't get or don't want to spend that much on an ETB, I think there's ways to get these packed that can still make sense for investing, and if you're holding for long term, and if you're building up a reputable feedback so that you can actually sell loose packs in the future. Charizard EX from 151. This thing is at $250 now. And this is crazy because this ran all the way up to like 300 and some. Yeah, it was at 300, and now it's come all the way down. Most recent near mint market price at $250, with most recent sales 274, 250, 255, 264. So interesting to see this come down. I had mentioned that once it was at 300, I was not looking to buy it. However, as normally happens, this card was $200, ran up to 300, and now dropped back down to 250. I could see it leveling off somewhere around 250. Usually if it starts at a low, goes up to a high, it settles somewhere in between the two. And I could see this doing the same exact thing, especially with 151 starting to rotate out. So I was not buying any of these at $300, but at 250, I might start taking a look at this, especially because these are part of my grading plays. Again, if you watch my video on Monday, I did send one of these Charizards out that I had cracked from my last submission. And so I am still running the grading plays, and especially if I sell a 10, because the 10s are worth so much, I will run this grading play over and over again, even if this continues to bounce between $200 and $300. If I buy it at 250 and it drops down to 200, well, if I'm grading it, hopefully I'm getting a 10 and that won't matter. But at 300, it was just a little too much with how fast it ran. But at 250, I feel much more comfortable running this play again. Surging Sparks ETBs at 70 bucks. That's pretty good. And the booster box at 232 seems really cheap. I bought one of these, I think a month or two ago at like 250, and I was happy with that. Now it's looking like market price of 240 with most recent sales at 233, 253, 233. There are two here for 197, under 200 bucks. Not sure what those were because I can't see it going that low. However, I do think this is a pretty good box. I think Surging Sparks is probably the second or third best set in the Scarlet Violet era. Just right now, it's being overshadowed by Destined Rivals and Mega Evolutions, Prismatic Evolutions, all of these big banger sets that are released right around it. But I think Surging Sparks will do very well long term. I think it's got good enough chases with Latios, Latias, Pikachu, obviously. I think there's a lot in this set that will do well long term. But who knows? It could be another Vivid Voltage, especially if they continue to reprint this around those other good sets. If they reprint a ton of this, I could see this box coming down. But again, long term, I think it's fine. Like I said, I picked one up at 250 and I'm fine with holding that. But obviously I was wrong in the short term. But I still really like this box. 230 seems pretty good, especially when you look around Scarlet and Violet era at $230 to see what else you can get. It seems like a bargain to me. And what I first started with was the Elite Trainer box. At 70 bucks, it's not bad, but again, I would probably rather have Mega Evolutions at 80 if you could find it. I'd rather just pay up and get Mega Evolution. I think Mega Evolution is just a better set than Surging Sparks in general, especially opening experience. So again, if you're looking for something for Christmas, a Mega Evolution ETB can make sense. If you're looking for something to buy me for Christmas, however, Evolving Skies booster boxes, if you got deep pockets, that would be wonderful. I do not have one of these. I was still too late to the party with this and thought at $400 it was too expensive, at $600 it was too expensive, at $1,000 it was too expensive. Now here we sit, $2,589, $2,589 market price, which is just absolutely crazy. But most recent sales, it looks like 2,488, 2,549, 2,549, and 2,499. So this is actually coming down to $2,500. It's looking like. So interesting to see that kind of fizzle out. So again, it's going to be so interesting to see where we go from here. If we stagnate out, level out until through the holiday season, through the 30th anniversary, like Rudy thinks we might, and then take off from here next year, or if we're going to start going down a little bit before the end of the holiday season, people sell off, take profits, get ready for Christmas and all that stuff. I'm just so interested to see. I'm not really sure one way or the other, obviously, because I don't have a crystal ball, but it'll be fun to watch either way. I'm selling into this market no matter what. Umbreon EX, we just have to look at this, the king of Scarlet and Violet era. Let's see where this price is going. This thing had a big run up to almost $1,200 and then another big drop down to about $1,000. But since then, it has recovered and is sitting at a market price of $1,172, with most recent sales right around there, $1,121, $1,119, and almost $1,200, but a scan photo. So I wonder if that was just a good looking card. Someone might be grading it. But interesting to see that this rebounded and is still going up. It's almost right there. And I wasn't going to say it at its all-time high, but no, its all-time high was when it first came out. But just a recent high off of its big lows, $840 down in early September. So this thing has run up quite a bit off those $800 lows. So again, it'll be interesting to see if this thing levels off at $1,200 or if it keeps running. Too rich for my blood. I bought the Japanese copy of this because I wanted the art, but yeah, I can't afford the English one. And then Team Rocket's Mewtwo. This thing has been running like crazy, $582. Another one of those that hasn't really seen that dip. Even back here in the original, I think I sold mine for like $375 and I thought I was doing good. Now it's $583, which is just absolutely crazy. Bucking the norm of chase cards only going down right after release. This thing has continued to go crazy just because the demand is so high right now. But $583 market value with most recent sales right around that $500 mark. So actually coming down a little bit off the market price, it looks like, but still over $500 is kind of crazy. Victini promo card at $14.50. I still think there's some sort of play there. I think that's okay. 151 booster packs at $16.70. This one's interesting because it's off its highs for sure. Its highs were $18.90 right at the beginning of the month, and then it's dropped down to $16.47, with most recent sales right here around $16.95. But again, tiny quantity in the pack, so we'll see here what anyone actually has listed with any sort of quantity. This guy's $17.99 for 59 packs. That's probably the most, and then $17 plus $1 shipping, 36 packs. So right there around 18 bucks, which is interesting to see that it's just bouncing right back up to that high. And again, I'm not surprised to see this. 151 is the GOAT. It's going to continue to run up. Will it be $20 by the end of the year? Maybe. It totally could be, especially if you don't get any huge reprint. But this is one I want as much as I can of, but bought as many Blooming Waters as I could. Now that that's a little bit more expensive, I'm not buying them at $16 a pack. I was more like $10 a pack. Black Bolt Elite Trainer Box, $87. Not bad, but again, I'd rather take Mega Evolution. 151 Ultra Premium Collection at almost $600 is crazy. I remember getting these on TikTok deals for $80 and now they're $600. As you always say with Pokemon, I wish I'd bought more. These are pretty comfortably at $5.99, $5.95, $5.92. So just under $600. Again, all of these seem to be hitting a psychological price point, and it's just, where do we go from here? Do we go down, or do we eventually break through it and continue to move up? Mew EX promo card. This one's interesting because this is from the 151 Ultra Premium Collection, and this thing ran up to $65 at the beginning of September. Since then, it's come way down. Again, I had said in my previous videos that I thought this ran up too much too quickly, and it's done exactly that. So near mint selling right around $53, 55, 54, and 47. So probably stabilizing right here around $50, which makes sense because the art rares of the set of the Scarlet and Violet era have been right around that $50 to $80. So I could see this bouncing off $50 and kind of going up from there. Again, I'm not buying anymore, but the ones I do have, I'm not selling into it either. The Bumble Mew at $619. This one had a huge run up as well, and then it's fallen since then. Hit $700 at the beginning of September, and now it's down to $621 market price, with most recent sales at $573, $573, and $625. So again, I'm staying patient on this, and most likely I would anticipate this falling somewhere between $300 and $700. So I would guess it falls somewhere between $450 to $500 and then kind of stabilize there. But we'll see on this. Either of those prices is way too expensive for me. I love this card and should have bought it when it was $80, obviously, but it just totally got away from me. The 151 booster bundle display, this thing hasn't done anything recently, which is real sad to see because, again, this was my most expensive product at one point, and it has since been overtaken by Prismatic Evolutions sealed case of Pokemon Center exclusive ETBs. So interesting to see that. This thing was like $1,800. It had some sales at $1,800, and now it's selling for $1,500, $1,399, $1,459, $1,499. So just right there at $1,500, which, don't get me wrong, that's still a lot of money, but considering it was knocking on the door like $2,000, to come down here at $1,500 feels a little bit of a letdown. But I mean, I bought this thing at such a cheap price that it really doesn't matter. It'll be interesting to see how high this thing does go, though. I love the displays, and I'm so happy that GameStop actually sent me one. Umbreon VMAX alternate art. We got to take a look at this just because, again, I have it. So selfishly, we're going to take a look at it. And this one had a huge run up from end of August into September, and it ran all the way up to $2,100. Since then, it's continued to go up a little bit each month. $2,273, $2,273 is market price on this, and that's just crazy. Showing most recent sales of $19.99, $17.25, $19.58, and then $20.58. So it looks like this is coming down a little bit off its highs of $2,200, but to be above $2,000 when it was just $1,300 last month, again, is still insane. So I could see this doing the same thing as Bubble Mew. Be interesting to see that $2,000 psychological barrier, if it bounces off that and stays above $2,000, or if it just breaks it and come back down. If I had to guess, I would guess it come back down to about $1,700-$1,800 mark and finds a range around there. Pikachu with a gray felt hat. We got to take a look at this just because it's like the card of an era. This card really defines how the Pokemon market is going, but this card just continues to go up. So $618 with most recent sales at $644, $648, $648. So those are higher than market price, but I remember seeing sales of this thing at around $700, $750 when the PSA 10s were going for like $2,500. So it looks like that has slowed down a little bit, but market price still continues to just march up on this card. And this card just continues to defy all odds, which is absolutely crazy. But it is a really cool card, really cool artwork. So I can see why it's going crazy, but man, this thing just continues to defy all odds. 151 Elite Trainer Box. Again, this might be a little too expensive if you missed the boat, but it's been stable here at $400 since the beginning of September. So if you got big pockets and you're looking to make a big move, maybe it could make sense. But in my opinion, I just think there's better places to spend your money. I would almost rather have 4 booster bundles. That's so many more packs than this thing. And I know you don't get the promo card, but I mean, you can just buy the promo card. It's only like a $15 to $20 card. It's still one of my sleeper pick here recently. So in my opinion, I'd rather have you could even buy 3 booster bundles and like 3 promo cards for the same price. And I'd rather have that. You get way more packs, more promos. But if you don't have this for your personal collection, again, people are going to be buying this because they need it. Venusaur from 151. Let's see if this follows the same trend as the Charizard. And it does not. It looks like this thing continues to go up. This is at $90 now. Good to see that. I do anticipate most, if not all, of 151's cards to continue to rise, especially as we get close to rotation in April of next year. 151 will be rotating out, and I think that will cause a little bit of a jump on all of these 151 cards. So I'm still trying to pick up as many of these as I can, to grade as many as I can. Again, personally, I still need this Venusaur EX for my personal collection in a PSA 10. So I'm trying to grade as many as I can to try to get one in my collection, and then I can sell off the other ones. So I am still making plays on that card for sure. Charizard promo cards, the V-Star at $53 and the V-Max at $40. I like the V-Max card better, but both those are still crazy expensive. Journey Together Enhanced Booster Box 258. That seems high, especially I prefer, I think, Surging Sparks to Journey Together. And again, at $260, that's just a lot of money for what feels like a mid set. Charmander promo card for $35. That seems a little high compared to all the others, but this card is a meme for sure and will be a meme probably for a long time. So this is one of those iconic cards that could go crazy, but I don't think they're reprinting any more Obsidian Flames. So maybe if you don't have one of these, but the ones I do have, I'm holding on to. I'm not buying new ones. Brilliant Stars booster boxes, I still think this is undervalued. I love this box in general. The Trainer Gallery of this set is so good. It's got a whole Evolution set, almost a whole Evolution set Trainer Gallery. You've got easy ones to pull, like the 3 starters and Eevee, and then you've got the harder ones to pull, like Sylveon and Umbreon, both in V and VMAX form in Trainer Gallery. So not to mention a Charizard chase, Arceus chase. I love this set personally. So again, if you're looking at that $400 to $500 price range of those 151 ETBs or of the UPCs that are coming out, I would personally like this Brilliant Stars booster box more. But then you get into the range of, well, do you like Brilliant Stars or Destined Rivals more? And as a set, I like Destined Rivals more, but timing wise, because of where they're at in the print cycles, I like Brilliant Stars more. So again, there's pros and cons to each, but in my opinion, I think Brilliant Stars could be a pickup, especially if you got deep pockets. This thing is off its high, again, about 10% like everything else is. So it's around $550, now down to $491, with most recent sales of $475, $498, $488, $492. So right there, just below $500. So again, psychological price point. We'll see if it bounces off that or continues to drift down slowly. Greninja EX, this is one that I think could be a little bit of a opportunity. This thing sat sideways at $60 for the longest time, and I just think this card is one of those cards that will do super well long term, sort of like the Stained Glass Birds promo. And because it wasn't printed in an ETB, I don't think as many people have these collection boxes, and so I just think this card will do very well long term. I've been a huge fan of this card since day one. I just didn't think it would move as fast as it did, so I was unfortunately selling my PSA 9s and 10s into the market way too early. But this card is one that I think will stand the test of time. I think the art on it is so good. Greninja is a top popular tier 1 Pokemon. I think this card will do very well. So because it sat sideways for so long, now might be the time to look to move it into it if you don't have any. My 2 favorite promo cards, is funny that they're right next to each other. The Eevee from Prismatic Evolutions for $11 and the Snorlax from 151 for $16.34. Honestly, of those 2, I like the Snorlax more just because it comes from a $400 box, whereas the Eevee comes from a $140 box. So of these 2, Snorlax is definitely the one that I want even more of. And I'm trying to pick up as many of these as I can every chance I get, because this card is just so good. It's a obviously Gen 1 Pokemon, popular Pokemon. It's got Pidgey and Diglett in there. It's from the 151 set, so people will need it to complete their 151 sets when they're trying to master it. And it comes from a $400 box, so people don't want to buy that box. I think this card has so many things going for it that I think this card will be like those Stained Glass Birds promo. The art is not quite as good as the other ones. It's just an art rare. It's not sort of a unique art like the Greninja, like the Kingdra, like the Stained Glass Birds promo. However, I still think people will need this card because of how many people are collecting the 151 set. I personally have a lot of conviction in this card and this play going forward. So I'm buying as many of these as I can, even though it's up 94% in the last 3 months. It was, below $10, and 1 year ago is actually $2. But honestly, I still think it's a good play, even up here. But if you don't want to spend that much, the Eevee at $10, if you can find this for $10, I think that's a pretty good play too. I think, again, Eevee, popular Pokemon, sleeping, part of the Prismatic Evolution set that's getting expensive. So I think that card is a very good one too, especially for the price. These Mega Battle decks, I just want to throw this in here. If you're out and about in the wild and see these decks out here, this can definitely make sense at MSRP because it's got that Haunter card in here. I don't personally love that card, but Haunter, Gengar, those are fan favorite Pokemon and will be probably forever. So if you can find these and pick these up, this card alone, this little promo card here, will make this totally worth it. So if you find these at MSRP, pick these up all day. Just a little PSA for those of you who might be out hunting. Definitely be on the lookout for those. The Blastoise EX from 151. This looks like it's doing the same thing as Venusaur. Yep, it's gone down a little bit. It hit a high of 95, 94. Now it's down to 86. So again, that's fine. I'm buying these as much as I can. But I am still selling too. Like I'm still selling the PSA 10s that I get so that I can keep running this play as much as I can. Same thing here with the Charmander. I think all of these 151 art rares, especially the Charmander, Bulbasaur, Squirtle, and Pikachu, I think all of these will do very, very well long term. So even though it's run up quite a bit and is up to $58 market value, the most recent sales are around 54, 49, 60, 59. So kind of all over the place between 50 and 60. I still think this card is a pickup. I just ran this grading play, got one of these back as a 10. So as much as I would love to hold this in a 10, the market just values it more than I do in a 10 because it's like $400 in a 10. I can sell that and buy a whole bunch more of these that I can either grade or set aside. So I've been doing that. And I personally, again, think this is a card that I will want a bunch of going forward because this is just such an iconic card and people will want these starter cards for a long time going forward. Celebrations Elite Trainer Box, I still think this is a good play, especially heading into the 30th anniversary. I think if you don't have these, I think it could make sense for sure. It's run up definitely. I mean, it was $84 a year ago, but even since June. In June, it started running up really, and it ran up to $240, and then it's just set sideways since then. So most recent sales at $232, $230, $247, $232. I think this can definitely make sense, especially at $230 or so. With 30th anniversary coming up, I think on this, you either have to run it as a short-term play, short-term flip, and flip it into the 30th anniversary, or hold it until like the 35th anniversary. So whichever one you want. Me personally, I did buy one of these at around $220, and I'm sitting on it for a long time just because I didn't have one, and I think it will run up to the 30th anniversary. So I did personally buy one of these, and I'm just sitting on it, holding it for the long term. Charizard EX from Destined Flames. Again, with the Charizard hype, this card ran up all the way to like $100. And I mentioned I'm not buying them up there because I thought they would come down. And since then they have. It looks like this is most recent sales 85, 86, 77. Oh, those are late played. So $85 is right around the most recent sales, with the market price being, yeah, $88. So interesting to see this one. I think this one will probably continue to fall, but it could come up with the Fantasmal Flames. I'm not buying any more of these personally. I just had one that I tried to grade and totally whiffed on it. So I accepted a PSA offer that lost me some money, but gets me the money back quickly. So because of that, I might take a look at one more just because I still need this in a 10 for my personal collection. But I'm not buying a ton of these for investment or for flipping just because right now I think it's a little too expensive still. Stained glass birds, I sort of briefly mentioned them around $100 still, which is crazy to see that holding that price because it was so expensive. Pokemon Center exclusive Elite Trainer boxes, Destined Rivals at $352 is still insane. I still anticipate another reprint of these on the Pokemon Center website. They reprinted Prismatic Evolutions like 4 times, and so I would assume that they have to know how popular Team Rocket is and that they will be reprinting these into the future. It's just taking them time to reprint them because they have to keep up with the new stuff too. So I anticipate seeing more of these hit the market, and when they do, I'll either try to look to snag some from Pokemon Center, or if I can't get those, I'll be trying to pick them up from people who are panic selling because they know a reprint is coming or in the works. So personally, I'm being patient on these. I would love to pick some more up, but definitely not at $350. Same thing here with Prismatic Evolutions Pokemon Center. I think these are done being printed because, like I said, they printed them 4 times already. That doesn't mean they can't reprint them. They certainly could. But in my opinion, the risk-reward benefit, I think there's less chance they reprint this because they've reprinted it so many times already. And as I mentioned, my most expensive card now is this sealed case of 4 of these that I got from Pokemon Center before they changed the limit down to 2, which is amazing. So I had that listed on eBay for the longest time, and then the price of these started running, and the price of the sealed case started running even more, and it was running just a little too fast for me. So I was like, maybe I should hold on to this thing because it is pretty unique and pretty rare just because they changed it from 4 to 2. So not a lot of people have these. And again, distribution access people, store owners, they don't have these sealed cases like they normally do. So I'll just hold on to my sealed case and kind of see what it does. I do have 4 of these loose, so I might look to sell 1 or 2 of these just to kind of get some money out of it. Again, if I paid $60 for 4 of them, that's $240. If I can sell 1 box for more than that and it pays for all 4, I might do that. And then if I do that twice, I've gotten my money out of the entire position, and I still have 1 sealed case and 2 loose ones that I can hold in the future. So I will probably end up doing that, especially when I go through and reorganize everything before the end of the year. But crazy to see these right at that $400 mark. Again, everything is at a psychological barrier. It's going to be really interesting to see where we go going forward. Zapdos EX around $82. This is still my favorite card from 151. Interesting to see this thing going sideways, coming down a little bit. It was $97 and now it's down to $81. In my opinion, I'm picking these up. I'm picking these up for $80. I'm grading them all day. And honestly, I might even just be looking to hold on to the ones I grade because I have that much faith in this card and this set going forward. So these ones and the 151 starters, I just think the special illustration rares are going to do so well long term. A lot of singles here on this page 7. We got the Charizard EX from Paldean Fates. That one looks to be holding steady at around $300. I still think that's a little too expensive. Especially, I think we're getting some Paldean Fates boxes here towards the end of the year. So I'll be waiting to see if that one comes down a little bit. I'm not buying more. I'm still grading the ones that I have, but I'm not buying any more. The Gengar Yellow Border Lost Origin Trainer Gallery card, $34. That's down a little bit. which is good to see. I do think that one ran up a little bit too fast too. Mewtwo V-Star from Crown Zenith Galarian Gallery right at that $200 mark. I still think that's undervalued, actually. I know it was easy to pull, but that card's so iconic. Squirtle 151 at $49. I think that's a little bit undervalued. I think those will do very well. Charizard Celebrations. This one came down a little bit. This one was up to about 140. Yeah, at its peak, 145. And now it's down to 130, 128. I'm still running this play as much as I can. I just got back like 9 of these in my last PSA submission, which is absolutely crazy. So I'll be trying to sell those off at a high premium that it is right now. And I'll be buying these new ones at 125. Totally fine with that. Again, these have been 100 forever. So I thought they might be making a run here with all the Celebrations cards near the end of the year. And with Celebrations 30th anniversary coming up. But looks like it hit a wall just like everything else. So I am definitely keeping my eye on this, but grading as many as I can too. The Kingdra EX, $60. I think that one's a little bit undervalued too. But of the two, I think I'd rather have Greninja just because it's a more popular Pokemon, even though I prefer the Kingdra art personally. Page 8, Misty Psyduck, $60. I think that'll come down with all these Destined Rivals reprints. They're reprinting a lot of packs, just not in booster box form. So I do anticipate most all of Destined Rivals singles to come down. And then Celebrations cards on page 8 and page 9. The Pikachu, Umbreon Gold Star. It just seems like all of Celebrations is following that same trend. It ran up with the hype of Celebrations and then just kind of hit its wall too early. So we'll see if it picks back up or if it just continues to fall until the 30th anniversary. The Mew Crown Zenith Galarian Gallery, it's $34. Still some opportunity there, but that thing ran up way too fast. Again, I'd rather just pay up and get this Pikachu card. I think it's just a little bit more rare. I think it's a little bit better. It's got way more Pokemon in it and 151 art rare. I love these cards personally. The Lugia V alt art just continues to rise. Things up to $466, which is kind of crazy. With most recent sales, $490, $469, $469. So this card just continues to run up, which is kind of crazy to see, especially with all the God packs that were running around. I thought this card would be worth so much less because there were those error packs that had all those, that every pack had a hit. I pulled my Lugia from one of those packs and I just thought so many people would have it, but I guess if you weren't in the hobby in 2023, you wouldn't know anything about that. So it was still kind of rare to hit. Evolving Skies at $30. I just look at this because it's kind of crazy. But this has been sideways for the last like 3 months, which is kind of crazy to see. But still, $30 for a loose pack of something that feels so modern is insane. Page 10, we'll take a look at 3 more things. 151 Elite Trainer Box, Pokemon Center exclusive. This thing has been right at the cusp of $1,000 for, again, feels like 2 months. But it bounced off and has come down. So it's a $940 most recent sale, $885, $948, $899. So interesting to see that come down off its high. Again, we will see if it breaks through that or if $1,000. And $1,000 for one single Elite Trainer Box is absolutely crazy. The value is definitely not there, but this is such a collector's item. Again, there's so much demand in this that people are just willing to pay it because they weren't here when it came out. The Articuno, I still think this is one of my favorite cards. It's up to 20, but it's down off its high of 25. So in my opinion, I still absolutely love this card, especially at $20. I think this feels very good. I think this is one of the best art rares. I think that art rare, Scarlet Violet art rare category is really separated into tiers. And I think this one will make a run up to the $50 tier maybe not pretty soon, but when people stop opening Journey Together, when Journey Together packs stop being included in these ancillary products and that stuff, this will be opened a lot less. And I think this card, it just looks so nice. Popular Gen 1 Pokemon, legendary Pokemon. I think this will do very well long term. So I want as many of those as I can as well. And then Silver Tempest booster box right here at $478. Again, right at that $500 mark. Same as Brilliant Stars. I would almost prefer Brilliant Stars. I guess though, the only thing that gives this the edge would be the Lugia Chase card. That Lugia Chase card is worth so much more than the Charizard. So if you don't have access to either of these and you're looking to spend $500, I think this one can make sense. I just like the age of Brilliant Stars better, and I like the Trainer Gallery so much better. The Trainer Gallery in Silver Tempest is good, don't get me wrong, it's got Rayquaza. But beyond that, it just feels like it's Lugia or Rayquaza or bust, whereas the Brilliant Stars one has so many more. But again, I know booster boxes, when you take a look at something like Fusion Strike, where it's just got the 1 to 2 huge chase cards, as opposed to something like Chilling Reign, which is more deep, but with less popular Pokemon, I guess you could argue that Silver Tempest having the Lugia Chase card is just better than the Charizard Chase card. So that could cause Silver Tempest to go up even higher than Brilliant Stars. But either way, I think both of those are pretty good, especially at $400. Again, I would rather put my money into these than Destined Rivals. Even though I think Destined Rivals is a better set, I think Destined Rivals will get reprinted more and the price will come down or stay stagnant for longer than these two. I think these two will run a little bit at some point because they're both just such good sets. And then the final Crown Zenith Elite Trainer Box, $224. This still feels pretty safe to me. Crown Zenith is, in my opinion, the best set of the Sword and Shield era. I know people will say Evolving Skies for the chase and all that stuff. But in my opinion, just the opening experience does matter. And I think that, I guess it matters less and less as we go forward. And as products stop being opened as much, it's really just about the chase and what's inside and the allure of, hey, I have this on my shelf and it could have an Umbreon in it. It could have a Gengar VMAX in it. Something like that. Whereas Crown Zenith, you could have one of those gold cards, but it's only worth $200, not 500 to 1,000 like the other ones. So I still love Crown Zenith, especially if you don't have any. I think it could make sense to buy some of these at 220 while it's sitting sideways. But in my opinion, I think I'd rather have 2 Prismatic Evolutions, just because, again, we talk about the chase and chase being so valuable going forward in the future that people will look at the chase of Prismatic Evolutions and say, oh, I could pull a God pack, I could pull the Umbreon EX, I could pull a Demigod pack. And I think that will cause them to be opened more than Crown Zenith, even though Crown Zenith opening experience is so much better. But if you don't have any Crown Zenith, I think it makes sense here at $200. I think that's a pretty safe play. And that's really all I've got. I always want to go through the top 10 pages, so I appreciate you guys for watching. If you made it this far, please leave me a cheeseburger emoji for making it this far. And I appreciate you guys so much. Again, like this video if you like the video, goes a long way for the algorithm. Please leave a comment, as that goes an even longer way for the algorithm. Subscribe to my channel if you're not already, because I do these market update videos every week. You can throw this on a podcast style, listen to it while you're working, listen to me in the background, and get an update of what things are selling according to the best selling list on TCG Player, what my thoughts are, what I'm buying, what I'm selling, so that you don't have to take a look at all these products all the time. You can just listen to me and get all that information in 1 hour. So I do this every week on Wednesday, put out a video like this. So if you like that kind of content, please subscribe. Check out one of my other videos right over there, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Friday, stay tuned. I've got a PSA return, and I'm going to be doing a slab giveaway then. So check out my next video on Friday. It'll be a slab giveaway. All you got to do to enter that is like the video, subscribe to my channel, leave a comment. You'll be entered in to win that one. So please check out that video. Comment on that video to give you a good chance to win, because I don't have very many commenters, so it gets a great chance to win. And I will catch you guys in the next video. Peace.